I'd like to now shift a little bit to welcome Erin McKinnon from the state of Idaho on creating personalized competency-based education task forces and pilot programs. Erin, over to you.
Thank you, Susan. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today, and thank you for that. The topic is creating task forces to launch statewide pilot programs to support education innovation. I shifted that just a little bit to talk about how the task forces and pilots spurred, supported, informed, and influenced the growth of mastery-based education throughout Idaho. So identified several task forces, getting to where we are now. So task force number one in 2013 was the Governor's Task Force, which was commissioned in 2012 by Governor Butch Otter. The Task Force for Education was assembled to study and collaborate on how Idaho's education system could better prepare its children for success. It represents the initial task force that started Idaho on the road towards mastery-based education. They've had 20 recommendations, and number one was mastery-based education. In summary, the task force recommends the state shift to a system where students advance upon content mastery rather than seat time requirements. If you want to go ahead and shift to the next slide, thanks. And one more click on that, there we go. Shift to a system where students advance based upon content mastery rather than seat time requirements. This may require a structural change to Idaho's funding formula and or some financial incentive to school districts. It is also recommended that mastery be measured against high academic standards. When I first read that, I saw explicitly, even though it was inferred, the messiness and hard work of that was going to have to happen to make these things a reality. And luckily, if you want to click, we have that. In 2016, I would say that the next task force was the legislature. By following the governor's task force recommendation, the legislators created Mastery in Idaho. They, through their work, they created Statute 33-1632. So it's in statute, and gave $1.4 million, and that's been annual since then. The statute was passed unanimously and includes the following language. The legislature finds that moving toward mastery-based education, where students progress as they demonstrate mastery of a subject or a grade level, is in the best interest of Idaho students. The legislature further finds that moving from the current time-based system to a mastery-based approach will allow for more personalized and differentiated learning, create a focus on explicit, measurable, transferable learning objectives that empower students, the emphasis and emphasize competencies that include application and knowledge along with skill development. So you can see with that task force, we have very strong guidance in statute for what mastery is and where we need to go. Task force number 3. You want to click the next one? Thank you. From 2016 until through 2020 or to now, we have something called the Idaho Mastery Education Network, or IMEN. So the statute sets forth guidance that the Idaho State Department of Education shall facilitate and maintain the Idaho Mastery Education Network, composed of Idaho public school districts and charter schools that collaborate to transition Idaho to mastery-based education. So in other words, out of statute language, the Idaho Mastery Education Network, IMEN, became the next vital task force, steering Idaho mastery. 32 schools signed up for that first year, and in true Idaho fashion, with the allowance of local control, the IMEN carried forth with energy and enthusiasm. As a result, 1,000 flowers have bloomed. Some may call this process a pilot, but we rather prefer the term incubation, with reference to dedicated time for the IMEN community, resources, environments to develop and grow into what we have today. So what we have today, and talking about what we have today, we have a framework that helps guide us. We have 40 new schools who joined this year, the IMEN. We have a staging guide, which takes all the work of the IMEN and makes it usable and interactive resource. We have the competencies aligned with the Idaho State Board of Education, along with the work of competencies that the IMEN has done. And we have meetings every week for professional development for all of the state to apply, or all the state to join. So this next focus on task force is to include smaller refined groups, because our group has become so big. We are focusing on the statute and transitioning to smaller refined groups that will help advise the superintendent, develop evidence-based recommendations, implement the policies, and provide network resources. And of course, these groups will help inform and develop our sustainability and evaluation plan that is growing right now. So in conclusion, without the governor's task force, legislative support, strong statute guidance, and the innovation and hard work of IMEN, we would not be where we are today.
Aaron, thank you so much. It is truly amazing to see the resources that have been developed in Idaho, and also the growth, the kind of design work that's happening in schools and districts all across the state. So thank you so much for sharing the work in Idaho, and I'm sure there will be other states interested in learning more about kind of the processes and tools and supports that you've provided.